Right, good evening. I'm going to call our regular Board of Education meeting to order on February 26, 2024. We start with the presentation of the vision statement. Every school will be a thriving school that prepares every student to graduate from high school, college, career, and community ready. We have a moment of silence, and I'll have have Vice President Pearson read that.
We would like to ask for a moment of silence this evening for our district to recognize the passing of Don Bowen, who was a custodian at MSCR Central. Don is remembered as someone who was a friendly face around MSCR, often chatting and getting to know MSCR staff, instructors, and participants. Don's passing has taken a significant toll on so many in MSCR community, and we remember them tonight. Please join me in participating in a moment of silence to honor Don Bowen. Thank you.
We have another moment of silence this evening for our district to recognize the passing of Radha Sijopati, who was a Nepali bilingual resource teacher at Midvale and Lincoln Elementary Schools. Radha is remembered as someone who walked with kindness and love through our hallways at all times. She excelled at creating community. She always was willing to go the extra mile, answering one more phone call and making sure her families had the help and care they needed. Radha's passing was a shock to many who knew her in the Midvale and Lincoln communities, and she will be greatly missed. We will remember her tonight. Please join me in participating in a moment of silence in honor of Radha Sijopati. Thank you. Tonight, we also have a proclamation for the 2024 Adult Crossing Guard Recognition Week. This is by the State Superintendent of Public Instruction. And it reads as, whereas Wisconsin's adult school crossing guards provide an invaluable service in helping to ensure the safe passage of our youngest, most vulnerable pedestrians, children walking between home and school, and whereas adult school crossing guards serve with a dedication that overcomes the rigors of split shifts, heavy traffic, and they stand strong, enduring in the face of sweltering heat, bitter cold, blowing snow, and heavy rainfall. And whereas adult school crossing guards have for more than 5 decades served Wisconsin communities to make them more secure, providing a safe path to learning for children. And whereas adult school crossing guards are often the first to greet our students and the last to say goodnight. They do this all with a mission focused on helping students safely navigate city streets, county roads, and highways. And whereas adult school crossing guards help reinforce safety in the minds of young people, they highlight the importance of traffic hazard identification and safe street crossing behavior. And therefore, be it resolved that I, Jill K. Underly, State Superintendent of Public Instruction, declare the week of February 19th through the 23rd, Adult Crossing Guard Recognition Week, a time to recognize and thank the many adult school crossing guards whose commitment makes a difference in the lives of children in Wisconsin schools. Proclaim the week of February 19th through the 23rd. Nice. Okay. There were no written statements submitted for this meeting. And for our speakers tonight, I believe we have 3 online speakers and 5 here in person. So we'll start with our online speakers. Thank you, Jesse.
Our first online speaker will be Destiny Denton.
Hello. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So, my speech is on like why we should go on our 8th grade trip. I know that it was canceled due to something, but I feel like we should have like another thing in replace of it or something, whatever like would work for you guys. So, I have some of my classmates have made a petition. So the petition has 143 signatures on why we should go on the Mount Olympus trip or on any trip for the 8th graders. I have a statement from one of my friends. She wrote it. She's not here today because she's not feeling well, but she did write it today. And to sum up what she said that she and her family and all the other middle schoolers that she knows are very upset because they feel like they worked so hard towards getting the trip and they felt like they were robbed. That's what she said, not my words. She also talked about how the 5th grade trip was taken away too, and how because of COVID, and she thinks that we deserve a reward like for what we've done. She also talked about how it's a better learning opportunity, like community opportunity for us to become closer as a community. Another one of my friends who is also sick also talked about how it will help. What did it say? How it will help, other students have fun at the end of the year, like a break mentally rather than sitting in watching movies all day. That does seem fun, but there are times where you need to get outside. And a parent also said on the petition that they're upset that they lost our elementary school trip, and we also lost like the trip here. So she was wondering if we could do anything to have the 8th graders have something else. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Lisa Kirby Mangus.
Hello, good evening. My name is Lisa Kirby Mangus, and since August of 1992, I have proudly served as a dedicated speech language pathologist within MMSD. Tonight, I speak with you not just as an individual, but as a representative of a cohort within MMSD's Student Services, a group that includes social workers, psychologists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, guidance counselors, and speech language pathologists. The purpose of my presence here tonight is to address a matter of utmost importance, the need for an equitable adjustment in compensation for our cohort. Over the past 3 years, MMSD has applied the practice of salary compression and leapfrogging on the pay scale for new hires, resulting in disparities in compensation. Allow me to illustrate the impact of these practices. In 2020, new speech language pathologists just out of graduate school were placed at level A on the salary scale. The next year, 2021, new speech language pathologists hired out of grad school were placed at level H or even higher. This translates to a significant difference in starting salaries from 2020, a staggering $13,700 in just 2 consecutive years of hiring. For new employees who may have student loans after grad school, this money is significant. As a 32-year veteran of MMSD, I find myself at level V, only 14 levels above some first-year educators. This lack of recognition for years of service is disheartening and fails to convey respect or appreciation. One of the stated goals of MMSD is retention of employees. Unfortunately, the current salary compression and leapfrogging practices are counterproductive to this objective. Current employees read the publicly shared board documents that reveal the salaries of new hires in disbelief. Every single MMSD employee, new and current, is a key to the future success of the students and families of MMSD. Retention is very important. In conclusion, there's a common practice that says identifying your why is the key to success. In various staff meetings, I have often been encouraged to engage in this exercise of defining my why. A definition I've come across describes this practice as the deliberate crafting of a statement that articulates one's motivation and purpose. As I conclude my remarks, I wonder, what is the why for MMSD in the context of salary scale placement and employee respect and retention? Thank you very much for providing me with the opportunity to address you tonight.
Thank you. Our final online speaker is Kirby Mack.
All right, our first speaker tonight will be Shannon Stevens, and following Shannon will be Jennifer Dorrell. And just as a reminder for our speakers, you can come on up. There's a 3-minute clock that will start up there, and then you also have a little light box. When it's yellow, it's 30 seconds left, and then red will, and you can just kind of finish your thoughts around there.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to come and speak. I too am speaking about the student services salary inequities. And I also want to talk about, in particular, the role of school social workers in our building. So I was super excited in December 2023 when the MMSD Connect really highlighted the article that we're going to revive and rev up MMSD's human resources staffing engine. There's lots of good comments in there, and the article stated that the director and recruiter under the executive director both recognize that retaining employees is as crucial as recruitment is. It states that they're holding sessions to get information and feedback, and I would love to know a little bit more about those sessions, when they happened, who they happened with. As a social worker, part of the student services team with MMSD, for over 2 years, we've been advocating to have the salary discrepancy closed. She used the phrase leapfrogging. That's happened quite a bit. We were also told that the board will be looking forward to a proposal forthcoming. So hopefully that comes to fruition, because it would be nice to know that we can take care of this year. Everyone who works in education knows that senior staff and veteran staff are super important to how the schools function. It's how information is passed from one social worker to another social worker, one teacher to another teacher. We also recognize that sometimes it's about 3 years before somebody really gets the feel of what their role is going to be like in a building. Some of the data that I wanted to make sure was out there is that over 50% of our school social workers are new within 5 years. It means some of them haven't even hit their stride yet, because there's been other changes that have going on in their schools, with administrators changing or staff changing. We've had a lot of that the last few years. There have been over 40 new hires in social work alone since 2018. More than 25% of those left MMSD within 1 single year of their hire. Now we have 65 school-based social workers, 65 district social workers, I guess that would be. And over 50% of them have worked for the district for 5 years or less. The numbers are so different in the other student services categories either, whether it's counselors, OTPT, psychologists and that. But I just wanted to talk about social work tonight because that's who I am. That's who I represent and who I want to represent. The salary discrepancy really starts to play out when you have social workers who are hired coming in with 10 years of what used to be experience. So new social workers are coming in as per the board notes, track 4, level J, very typical. If they have any additional experience, including an internship, they're given 1 to 10 years of additional levels, which bring them to some recent hires being hired at track 4, level S. Or references as I'm track 7, level T, and I've been here for 23 years. Please consider it. We would really appreciate it moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Jennifer Doral, and then Leland Pan.
I'm Jenny Doral, reading interventionist at Kennedy School. Thank you for all that you do for MMSD and especially for the concern and follow-up on Kennedy's needs this year. It's appreciated. I know you are aware that attendance is a challenge for us in MMSD as well as throughout the whole country. I'm here to advocate for better use of attendance data and for more resources to encourage improved attendance. I work with a 4th grader I am going to call Sarah. Sarah came to us in October of her 3rd grade year, having attended at least 3 other schools during her kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade years, which were, by the way, COVID years. She lives with her family in an apartment complex that has experienced multiple incidents of community violence. I have been working with Sarah for just over a year now, and her attendance is not the best. Our social worker, her homeroom teacher, and I work to ensure that she is at school as much as possible. Sarah is a great kid and always comes to reading ready to learn and work hard. After working with her for about a year, we haven't seen the growth in her skills that we would have liked to see. She hasn't met our intervention goals, and we would like to gather more information about Sarah's language development, cognitive functioning, and her mom is also concerned that anxiety might be playing a role as well. In order to move forward with some additional testing, as I understand it, Sarah must have completed 2 10-week rounds of intervention with at least 80% attendance. By EduClimbers calculation, Sarah has a 72% attendance rate. When calculating this rate, EduClimber adds up all the days that reading intervention was scheduled but didn't happen. These include her absences and also days when I was pulled out to sub, when I was sick, or when her class was on a field trip. If you disregard those days and just calculate based on the days Sarah was present or absent, her attendance rate is 81%. So we're penalizing her for me having to sub, or me being out sick, or her class having a special event. To quote my school psychologist, this is an injustice to kids who need additional academic support. Can we consider changing how EduClimber calculates the attendance rate, or can we consider a requirement for a certain total number of intervention sessions instead of a percentage? This is the longest Sarah has stayed at any one school. This is her best chance to get the appropriate supports put in place for her. I would also like to advocate for more attention to attendance at the district level. Talking with families can be delicate, and it requires a lot of time talking about attendance. Our school does not have the resources to stay on top of it. Additional social worker allocation and a family liaison would be very helpful in being able to focus more on attendance in a meaningful way. I'd love to see the district do other things too, perhaps a media or social media campaign, and attention and awards for good attendance and for improved attendance. A district-wide visible public push would be helpful, I think. My intention was to come here and advocate for Kennedy and for Sarah, but last week I went to a reading interventionist meeting, and I told Sarah's story, and the reading intervention next to me said, "Oh, I have a student just like Sarah." And then around the table, everyone said, attention is a huge concern and a huge issue for us. So this is a district issue, and I hope that you can help us with more resources and more attention. Thank you.
Leland, are you okay if we go back to our one online speaker and then come back to you? Okay, thank you so much. We'll go to our online speaker.
Our online speaker is Kirby Mack.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Kirby Mack, and I'm here as Vice President on behalf of Blacks for Political and Social Action Incorporated. This year, our nation will celebrate the 70th anniversary of the landmark Brown versus Board of Education decision, which ushered in a new era of access to public accommodations for Black Americans, particularly in education, as it was the impetus for the civil rights movement. The right to read is the most important civil rights issue of our time. Yet our children's scores have been an embarrassment to any and all who care about Black and brown children. Without a good education, our children will be unable to function in this society. They will not be able to attain work and be productive citizens. Many of our members in Blacks for Political and Social Action work for Madison College and are alarmed at the scores of Black and brown children that come from MMSD that cannot pass into basic entry-level coursework. Many of our members are very discouraged by this. Either you don't see us or you don't see us as a priority and are comfortable with the low scores of Black and brown students. Therefore, we want to put a face on Black and brown children so that you can see what's happening under your watch. We have spoken before your operational committee and instructions committee to request that as you begin to prepare for the 2024-25 budget, that you establish a general fund budgetary line item for your pre-established goal number 3, which states, and I quote, African-American children and youth excel in school. The budget establishes your priorities. Hence, our concern about the annual appropriation to Black excellence in the district is less than 1% of your budget. This clearly demonstrates your lack of commitment to our children and your goal for African-American children and youth to excel in school. The Black representation of the student population, as you know, is 18%, and that ridiculous less than 1% designated as Black Excellence Fund paid through community engagement funding seems to be a joke which our community is unable to find humorous. The Institute for Reforming Government Senior Research Director Quentin Claiborne said, and I quote, Wisconsin is quickly becoming a state where disadvantaged students do not succeed. There's a question, well, I guess there's not a question of can we do this? The question is, will we do it? Will we address this gap under your watch, school board members, or not? Thank you for your time.
All right, we'll return to Leland Penn. And then after Leland is Del Underbaki.
Hey all, Leland Pan, school social worker at La Follette High School. Here to support my peers in student services who are fighting for a fix to the student services pay scale compression. I understand that's not up for the agenda today, but wanted to make sure that we are in touch and in communication about this process. I'm sure your inboxes are flooded with our communication efforts to make sure this happens. And I'm not somebody who would directly benefit from that. And I'm still here in support of it because of my coworkers who would benefit, right? Because I was hired within the past 2 years. But I wouldn't be half as effective at my job without my peers who are veterans in this district, veterans like Shannon, like my counterpart at La Follette, Michelle Olson. So I'm here to support their efforts to ensure we keep them. I think ensuring that we have effective student services staff that are thinking about things like the inequities in our district and how to fix them means we need a variety of experiences in the building. Our veterans with their historical knowledge are a critical part of that. And so I don't want to spend too much time on it since it's not on the agenda, but I do want to just emphasize the point, right? Like that you are getting all of this outreach and effort from people who are very busy and have jobs that frankly are more hours than it says in the contract, right? And because it's so important in terms of retention, in terms of ensuring that our schools are best serving our students. And so you'll continue hearing from us, I think, until this happens. And so I am optimistic and hopeful that the board will come up with a solution. I think it's important not to postpone this and not to wait for future efforts like the referendum to try to fix everything at once, but to, fix what we can ASAP. And one final shout out. I know one student services group that's been left out of this whole conversation has been nurses. I think the nurses at La Follette are some of our most sort of equity minded. Just the hours they put in is ridiculous, and the access that they can connect students to around. I coordinate with them around our homeless youth. They're great at getting healthcare access for some of our undocumented youth, right? So, like in this post ongoing COVID world, right? Nurses are, they could get paid twice as much to work in the hospitals, and many of our nurses choose to stay here for our kids and for the work here, right? And so I think they should be rewarded for that. And if we lose them, I think it'll be a massive disservice for our students. So I just wanted to argue that hopefully, in addition to fixing the pay scale, that we can hopefully bump nurses up as well. So thank you.
Tonight's consent agenda includes approval for a worker training grant from the Department of Workforce Development. This grant will focus on the recruitment, selection, and training of our district's future leaders. This initiative needs to include explicit discussions about the disproportionate number of our students of color and students without intellectual disabilities who are prematurely accepting diplomas without reading proficiency. Article 10 of the Wisconsin Constitution guarantees a free education for citizens ages 4 through 20 who have not yet graduated from high school. According to state statute, a student chooses to relinquish their entitlement for free and appropriate public education as soon as they elect to receive a certificate of graduation. State leaders are in agreement. The intent of Article 10 is to assure our stakeholders a diploma represents the skills and knowledge to move forward. It is a decision to prematurely accept a diploma and relinquish FAPE entitlement without proficient levels of literacy and informed choice. Are students and parents aware of the consequences of entering our post-secondary world without literacy? Isn't our responsibility to engage our families in these discussions? Mandated academic and career planning and post-secondary transition planning are two opportunities where literacy could be highlighted. Our current statistics reflect the need for district leaders to ensure literacy achievement is built into our strategic framework. In 2022, less than 10% of MMSD graduates identifying as Black and only 15% identifying as Hispanic accepted diplomas equipped with proficient levels of reading. Less than 5% of our students with disabilities accepted diplomas supported by proficient reading skills. Graduation statistics for 2023 will be out next month, and I look forward to adding this data to this distressing accountability profile. Georgetown University's Center on Education and Workforce Development found by 2031, 72% of jobs will require post-secondary education and/or training. In contrast, in 1983, 68% of the jobs required no more than a high school diploma. Our current fifth grade is our cohort that will face this prediction in their fourth year of high school. What levels of literacy are required to engage with today's post-secondary education and training? Will all our scholars without intellectual disabilities be ready to face this reality? Wisconsin Statute 118 specifically commissions individual school boards a responsibility for students achieving the ability to read, write, and spell. Chapter 121 clearly states that students have a fundamental right to a sound basic education. Does our literacy achievement data reflect the standards of a sound basic education? State leaders have assured me these covenants are as relevant today as they were when they were written. These constitutional promises must be included in our worker training grant materials. You share the responsibility for creating literacy reinforced pathways towards post-secondary success.
Thank you. Our last speaker, I'm so sorry if I mispronounce anything. I think this is Leash or Linda or I'm so sorry. What is it? Luke.
Yeah, my bad.
Oh,
bad hand.
Luke Olson.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you so much. So, hello, everyone. My name is Luke. I'm a junior at West who moved here from Metro Detroit in the middle of COVID. And here's the thing about Detroit. We all know we have loads of issues that we haven't solved. And we also know that it takes active work day in and day out to begin to solve them. There, it is recognized that things are structurally racist and are in deep need of someone to be brave to try and fix them. In Madison, as you know, there's a completely different dynamic. For some people who are not in our segregated honor classes, these numbers may come as a surprise. But in the last 5 years, our district's standalone honors classes were between 54 to 60% white. White people make up 40.8% of the student body, but are given a clear and perhaps more damaging historic majority in these honor classes. White students have and continue to make up a disproportionate amount of segregated honor classes. While these percentages mean something, it feels like they mean more when you understand and can see that there are only 6 kids of color in these higher level classes. This trend is almost mirrored in AP classes. I know these numbers are nothing new to you all, but still I think they hold relevance. In my freshman year, I relearned what segregation means, the separation of people based on race. And whether anyone intends it or not, that is what is happening. We are segregating our students. Frankly, there are not too many steps that we can take backwards on this specific issue, because to reiterate, our pull-out honor classes are segregated not by ability, but by race, and by parents who push their kids to take higher level classes based on what they think their child is capable of. While to some I may be over-exaggerating the issue or alluding to a simple solution, I don't have one, mostly because there isn't one. There are decades of racism within our education system and our society at large that have caused these problems, and they will render every single solution that we can come up with almost pretty much blanketly imperfect. And to me, the main problem is to do nothing. Those numbers I quoted are from 2 years ago in an article from Scott Gerard, and his article still holds and reads with as much relevance as something that was published yesterday. We need to try something and start somewhere, because as we stand here and debate over if a solution is absolutely perfect, we're contributing to the systematic racism that fills our schools. On this particular issues and most other ones that we have, a really good start would be to listen to what our teachers are saying. To address the issue at West, the English 1 team is ready to pilot or simply implement either all non-honor classes with embedded earned honors or run only standalone honors classes. I've heard the argument that our district can't make one high school different from the other, but frankly, that argument feels dangerously close to an excuse. Just to point out some differences, some schools don't have advanced levels of calc or dual math reasoning credits, and some schools have 3 deans while West has 1. West is also having an equity symposium while these other schools aren't. Frankly, as a district, I believe we need to celebrate our differences and actually look from an equity lens and talk to people who know what the situation is. To quote one of my friends, it is time to stop saying we are anti-racist and actually do anti-racist things. And to me, that means we need to try, even if it isn't perfect. The only way to fail is to try nothing at all. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Luke. And thank you to all of our speakers tonight. I'm going to move us through our agenda at this time. I move that the Board of Education approve the minutes from the regular meeting dated January 29th, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion or corrections on the minutes? All right, seeing none. Talia, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, that passes. We also now are going to move into the board president's announcements and reports, and I'm going to share this with Vice President Pearson, who will start.
Celebrating our students. Congratulations to the 25 MMSD students who participated in the Madison All-City Spelling Bee earlier this month. Spelling bees are a continued way of uplifting literacy skills as students learn parts of speech and definitions for each word. Good job to our scholars.
Celebrating our community. This month, our community has celebrated the vibrant and important contributions of African Americans in celebration of Black History Month. Thank you to our administrators, teachers, staff, coaches, and club advisors for creating impactful learning opportunities and experiences for our scholars and school communities. The board would also like to thank our community for attending the Read Your Heart Out 20th anniversary celebration and participating in activities throughout this month. Read Your Heart Out brings our community together to celebrate literacy and community engagement. Each year, members of the Black and African American community are invited to read to our scholars at school, making inspirational connections with scholars at every elementary school across our district. The board offers heartfelt gratitude to Read Your Heart Out founder Michelle Belnavis and co-founder Andrea Davis, both former MMSD educators.
Celebrating our schools. We are excited to welcome scratch cooking back into MMSD. Earlier this month, the district's food and nutrition department began a pilot at Nuestro Mundo Elementary School, offering fresh, scratch-cooked lunches twice a week. Josh Perkins, MMSD's Director of Food and Nutrition, has been working on the pilot and scratch cooking program for more than a year. Tyrone Reese, Culinary and Development Manager at MMSD, has been supporting food services staff at Nuestro Mundo, teaching them how to prepare and cook the meals available to students. Thank you to our food and nutrition department for your efforts to make scratch meals for our cafeterias.
And celebrating our collaborations, MMSD is pleased to enter into a partnership with Edgewood College that will provide district employees the opportunity to both earn a master's degree in education and obtain a Wisconsin teaching license. The college's fully online accelerated teacher residency program includes pathways leading to credentials in the areas of elementary education, secondary education, cross-categorical special education, and bilingual English as a second language. This program uplifts MMSD's dedication to staff, learning, and development, and ensures that our students will continue to benefit from access to the very best educators available. And I will also conclude in our board president's announcements that in case you missed it, this evening at 5:30, the Board of Education held a special workshop to approve the employment of our next superintendent, Dr. Joe Gothard. So we just wanted to let you know that that happened as well tonight. Thank you. And that goes over to you, Superintendent Gibson.
Thank you, Board President Nichols, and thank you, board members. And I'd also like to thank our public speakers for sharing their comments with us this evening. We value hearing from you and really do appreciate your thoughts. So thank you for being here. I see some friendly faces from some jobs I had years ago at both Elvium and Lowell. Thank you for being here, friend. So this is an incredibly exciting time for MMSD. I am very honored that the board has trusted me with leading the district this last year, but more importantly, congratulations, Board of Education and MMSD community. We have chosen Joe Gothard to be part of our community, to be the district's next superintendent, a selection that I know has been months in the making, and a selection that will benefit outcomes for countless MMSD students in the future. Please know I'm committed to providing Dr. Gothard with a solid runway for success, providing support for a seamless transition. And I'm confident and excited about the decision that our board has made. And I know that MMSD and the community will embrace the leadership of Dr. Gothard and welcome his family back to Madison. And now, the variety of other day-to-day work going on. More of our 2020 referendum projects still happening at our 4 comprehensive high schools, and they will be completed over the next several months. I actually have 3 or 4 tours set up over the next several months as well, so we'll get to celebrate that. At the same time, looking at academic outcomes and data, forecasting our budget with Bob Soldner and our financial office and facilities needs, all of these continue to be in the conversation that we're having, facing our community's public schools, and these are all the things that we've been talking about at our board meetings and in our work group meetings. So these challenges, though, despite the fact that we are talking about them here in Madison, are actually not unique to Madison. These challenges are happening all over the state and all over the country. But what is unique is we get to pick how we respond to these challenges. And our community has showed up to help understand the challenges that we're facing, to hear from our own experts on our staff about why we're facing these challenges. And we've had some really great feedback sessions at our most recent evening sessions around academics, facilities, and funding, sharing insights with us about a possible referendum. And a quick plug, we have more of these. We have one tomorrow, one Thursday. And if you missed attending one last week, there will be an opportunity for a virtual session coming up too. So check out our website at mmsd.org and you can learn more about what might be coming up. I also want to thank from the bottom of my heart our Madison Foundation for Public Schools, led by Melinda Heinrichs. Some of us had the privilege of sitting in on their foundation board retreat last week, and it was a real gift to spend time with them. They are, those board members on the foundation, huge champions for our children and for public education. So I just want to shout out and send all kinds of love to Melinda and her team. And I know that our board and Dr. Gothard and our foundation, those will be some of the first connections that I help to make as Dr. Gothard starts to join our district. So tonight, I am pleased to celebrate a few of our staff members who are joining us virtually. So Jesse, next slide. I think I might have jumped ahead of you. There we go. Thank you. So February is Career and Technical Education Month, CTE month. And this month, we recognize the importance of CTE programming in public education. Lots of our facilities improvement in our high schools were because of the referendum that our community approved in 2020. And that referendum approval supported all kinds of our CTE spaces. We began this year, if you remember, with a visit from the United States Education Secretary, Miguel Cardona, and we were able to walk him through the new automotive, the new construction spaces in Bell Phillips Memorial High School. Our CTE programming prepares students for a future and equips them with the skills to be successful as soon as they graduate from MMSD. And many of these students can walk right into well-paid family-sustaining wages right here in our city of Madison. We have more than 4,000 students enrolled in CTE courses at our high schools and more than 2,000 students enrolled in coursework at the exploratory level in our middle schools. So Jesse, I think that we have a video to share.
Career and technical education spans many different industry areas, ranging from automotive and skilled trades construction classes, all the way through to culinary arts. I'm Mitch Dorosic. I am the Director of Career and Technical Education, and we are standing in the La Follette High School Health Science Lab that was recently built as part of the generous referendum that the Madison community provided us.
Students come by and they say, "What is that place?" They come in and they see the mannequins behind me and they say, what do people do here? What do students do here? Our nursing instructor from Madison College is able to speak with them and tell them all about the CNA class. I just got our numbers for next year and they're looking like they have doubled since last year.
Now that it's here in our school, it just makes it a lot easier. I can just walk in. I don't have to worry about transportation or getting there. Like, I feel like it's just way more accommodating.
There's a level of increased excitement having this new facility right here at West.
And there's a lot of new 21st century jobs that we want to prepare our students for, and this newly renovated space provides us the opportunity to do that for our students.
Space has made a big difference in how my students treat the education that they're getting in here.
It's a wonderful space, so we've kind of modified from, I guess what I would call a 1960s auto lab to a modern area where we can train these students to be technicians.
I like when we have everything now, and now we can work on cars. in my life, I'm gonna go on and recall like moments in this kitchen and be like, oh, I know how to do that because I like went through this experience.
I think a new space communicates to the students that they're worth it. They deserve a new and updated space with equipment that gives them an opportunity to bring skills that they learn here into the workplace.
I'm really glad that our community has come together and has invested in our students to make sure that they have a place to learn or a school where they can learn that is safe, that is clean, that's up to date, and that has some state-of-the-art equipment.
I am proud that the Madison community continues to invest in our students to make sure that they have cutting-edge lab spaces to prepare for their futures.
Thank you, Jesse. I also want to mention that for students enrolled in our dual credit program that is actually embedded in 5 of our CTE courses, that these students are seeing an annual tuition savings of more than $570,000 by being able to take advantage of this coursework. And our students who are considered these CTE concentrators with an emphasis in this coursework, they have a graduation rate of 95%. So we're really proud of those students. We also had 30 national and international qualifiers across our career and technical student organizations, such as Future Healthcare Professionals, DECA, FBLA, Future Business Leaders, and Skills USA. So I'd like to congratulate and virtually give an award to Mitch Starosik and Nar Dumbaya, who support our CTE programming across our district. So please give them a round of applause as they receive their virtual Kids First Superintendent Recognition of Excellence certificate. Lastly, I'd like to recognize, as I get to do once a month, and celebrate one of the grants on tonight's agenda. And I will be honest, as some of you know, this was a top priority for me as the interim superintendent. I wanted to leave something behind, to give something back to the district I love. And this idea that I had when I started with all of you was to create this leadership training fund for MMSD, to build our bench of school principals and leaders for the future, growing our own internal staff members to be leaders for our schools and students. So Madison was awarded almost $300,000 in funding over the next 2 years from the Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development. This program allows school districts to develop in-house experiences for principal and leadership development, tuition paid. The grant itself is a consortium led by us, and we're also supporting 1 rural and 1 suburban district, and the University of Wisconsin-Madison. We'll be training 25 people to be school leaders. 20 of those people are MMSD folks. So we'll identify 20 employees who we will pledge to then hire into school-based leadership roles beginning in 25-26. This new group of leaders will earn their master's degree in K-12 leadership from the UW-Madison School for Education and the Department of Educational Leadership and Policy Analysis. And these folks will be eligible for endorsement for a Wisconsin administrator license to be a principal. So this is really exciting for MMSD. I am grateful for this multiple year grant. All kinds of love and thanks go out to Jen Shepke, who wrote this grant. Without her, we could not have done this. And a huge thank you to Dean Diana Hess, who has been a patient partner in all of this with its ups and downs. So just a lot of love to her as well. Great schools need great leaders. And when schools move, when kids achieve, when teachers are able to do their best work, districts then make real progress. So thank you for accepting this project in service of MMSD from my own heart. So thank you all. That concludes my remarks. I'm just happy to be here with you all on this really exciting night.
Thank you for also leaving like just an amazing legacy. I know that was important to you and it's going to, yeah, it's going to have great impact, even after you have left, which is still not in, for right now, in a few months. Okay. All right, I'm going to move to our report on items that proceeded through the instruction work group held on February 5th, 2024, and I'll pass that over to Work Group Chair Muldrow.
In our last work group, we discussed the ELL plan while also having a brief update. Sorry, I gotta find my note. On the Wellness Advisory Committee for the Superintendent. This coming month in March, we will talk about full day 4K and early childhood and our intentions to expand that programming, as well as get a brief math update.
Next, we'll move to a report on items that proceeded through the operations work group held on February 12th, 2024, and I'll pass that over to Work Group Chair Castro.
Thank you. Thank you. So 2 Mondays ago, we received a presentation on MMSD renewables and our 2040 goal, and talked about a roadmap to get there and the possibility of adjusting a little bit. We continued our budget development presentation and forecasted the possibility of raising revenue. And then we talked about the long-range facilities plan development, and finally received an update on human resources and steps to implement some of the changes from the Whipley report. Our next meeting will be March 11th, where it'll be packed. We will review the final draft of the long-range facilities plan, continue with the next budget development, particularly with healthcare benefits, talk about some key projects in our budget that the community really wants to see, budget realignment, and some changes to the handbook. So that'll be that. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no action items that proceeded through either of the work groups. So I'm going to move us on to our consent agenda. I move that the Board of Education adopt and approve all of the motions set forth in Section 10 of the electronic agenda prepared for the February 26, 2024 regular school board meeting, exactly as said motions are written. By voting affirmatively on this motion, a board member expresses his, her, or their affirmative vote on each of the motions consolidated, hereby subject to any express separations that have been made by any member of the school board.
Second, Maya.
All right. Are there any separations? Okay. Talia, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. All right. Thank you. That passes 7-0. We'll move up to other reports to the board. I'll start with City County Schools Collaborative Committee. We had a meeting on February 14th. We did a follow-up on driver's education from the previous month, and kind of talked about what we might pursue next. We also heard updates around pedestrian safety, and our next meeting will continue with some of the same topics on March 13th. Student Senate, Talia?
Thank you. So in addition to typical meeting operations, our primary focus over the past few weeks has been organizing voter registration drives at West, East, La Follette, and Memorial during graduation cap and gown pickup.
Thank you. Madison School and Community Recreation Advisory Committee, Board Member Malta.
Yep, that's me. That's me. Okay. Okay. All right. The MSCR program guide will be out this coming or Friday, March 1st. Registration for Madison residents starts Monday, March 11th at 1 p.m. The summer program guide features over 1,000 summer activities planned for community members of all ages. And after-school programs continue to engage Madison students in unique out-of-school opportunities. For example, on the February 16th No Student Attendance Day, MSCR middle and high school staff coordinated 10 different field trips for participants, including a trip to the Girls Inc. conference, a GSA conference, and several ski trips.
Does Policy Committee?
Yeah, we met last Friday with the work group chairs, board member Muldrow and Castro, and just discussed the plan for us to get some policies done by June.
Thank you. Looks like we have no other business. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you.
Second.
Talia, your advisory vote? I could read your lips, but I couldn't hear you. You said aye. Okay.
Aye.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.